It was one of those peaceful mornings out on my ranch, the kind where the mist still hangs over the lake, and the only sound you hear is the soft ripple of water and the lazy croak of frogs along the bank. My dog, Duke, lay stretched out beside my chair while I cast a line into the water. After a long week running the county emergency dispatch office, I just wanted quiet. I'd built this ranch myself years ago, long before any HOA development existed around here. Then a few years back, a fancy new neighborhood popped up along the edge of my land. They called it Willow Creek Estates. It came with all the usual things, matching mailboxes, manicured lawns, and a homeowners association filled with people who thought their rules applied to the entire county. They built right up to my property fence and started acting like I was one of their members. I was. I never signed a thing. From the moment the HOA formed, the problems began. Letters about my unsightly barn, complaints about the color of my gate, notices about unauthorized animals referring to my cattle. But the biggest point of contention was the lake, my lake. The HOA board, led by a woman named Karen, yes, her real name, hated that the lake sat just beyond their houses. It was technically on my property, but close enough that they could see it from their backyards. She called it a community eyesore. Then she called it an opportunity. See, the lake was beautiful, blue, clean, stocked with fish. So Karen decided it should be a shared recreational area. She wanted to claim that half the lake belonged to the HOA. Never mind that I built it years before their development even existed. Never mind that I had all the deeds and permits. They didn't care about paperwork. They cared about control. At first, I ignored them. But when their kids started sneaking onto my dock and their people began setting up picnics by my water, I put up new fencing and posted signs. Private property, no trespassing. That's when things escalated. A few days later, I caught Karen and two HOA members standing by the fence with a clipboard, measuring tape, and a smug look. I walked over and asked what they were doing. She said, "We're surveying community land boundaries. This area might technically fall under our association." I laughed. "Ma'am, I've owned this property for 22 years. You can check the county registry before you waste your time with that tape." Karen narrowed her eyes. "We'll see what the authorities say." I thought she was bluffing, until one Saturday morning I saw flashing lights down by my driveway. 3 sheriff's cruisers pulled up, and Karen was right behind them, dressed in pink as usual and yelling before she even stepped out of her car. "There he is," she shouted, pointing straight at me. "That man is trespassing on HOA property and threatening community members with weapons." I blinked. "Weapons? Lady, I've got a fishing pole and a sandwich." The deputies approached carefully, hands near their belts. "Sir, we got a call about a disturbance," one said. Karen jumped in. "He's dangerous. He refuses to leave this lake even after multiple warnings. We demand he be removed immediately." I couldn't help but grin. "Officers, do you know where this 911 call came from?" The deputy frowned. "From HOA President Karen Matthews through dispatch." I nodded. "And do you know who runs the dispatch center for this entire county?" They hesitated. "Who?" I pulled my wallet and showed them my badge, Director of County Emergency Services. Their faces changed instantly. "Wait, you're the director?" "Yup," I said. "And that means that when Karen here called 911, the recording went straight through my office, to my own team. They patched me the call before you even arrived." Karen froze mid-sentence. I continued, calm and polite. "Now, according to that call recording, she falsely reported that I was armed and threatening her. That's a felony." The deputies turned to her. "Ma'am, is that true?" Karen's face flushed. I was just concerned for community safety." I chuckled. "Concerned, huh? More like annoyed that she can't fish in my lake." The deputy took a breath. "Mr. Walker, do you want to press charges for false reporting?" I shrugged. "Not today, but I'd like a formal report filed for harassment and trespassing. I've got her people on camera crossing my fence line more than once." The officer nodded. "We'll take care of it." Karen's voice started cracking. "You can't do this. This whole area is HOA regulated." I pulled out a folder from the back of my truck. "Here, the land deed, the survey map, and the county permit proving the HOA line stops 200 feet from my fence. That lake is 100% on my property." The deputies examined it, nodded, and looked at her. "Ma'am, this is outside your jurisdiction. If you or your members continue to interfere, you'll be subject to legal action." Her jaw dropped. "You can't threaten me like that." "I don't need to," I replied. "You already called the authorities, and the authorities work for me." Karen spun on her heel, fuming, and stormed back toward her car. The deputies gave me a nod, and I thanked them for their time. As she drove off, I heard her yell out the window, "This isn't over." But it was. That night I reviewed the 911 recording myself. Her tone was panicked, her accusations wild. She claimed I was waving a gun at her. The recording alone was enough to prove malicious intent. I didn't press criminal charges yet, but I did send that file straight to the HOA board, along with a calm letter. Any further false reports or harassment will result in legal proceedings. This property is registered private land, predating your HOA by over a decade. Any attempt to claim it will be considered fraud. 2 weeks later, I got an email from the HOA vice president apologizing for any misunderstandings and assuring me that Karen had been temporarily suspended pending review. That was the polite way of saying she'd been booted. A few months passed. No letters, no trespassers, no shouting across the fence. I went back to enjoying my weekends fishing, sitting on the dock, and letting Duke chase dragonflies. Then one evening, just as the sun was dipping behind the trees, a different SUV pulled up. A man stepped out tall in a suit. He introduced himself as the new HOA president. He said, "Mr. Walker, I just wanted to clear the air. The previous management made some mistakes." I smiled. "That's one way to put it." He chuckled awkwardly. "We've made it clear to all members that the lake is your property. You won't have any more problems from us." I offered him a handshake. "Appreciate that. You all stick to your side of the fence and we'll be fine." He nodded. "That's the plan." After he left, I sat down on my dock again and cast another line into the still water. The moon reflected off the surface like glass. Duke settled beside me, and for the first time in months, it was quiet again. I thought about how crazy it was that a bunch of people could move in next door and think they suddenly owned everything they could see. But that's how these HOAs worked. They thrived on control. The thing is, control doesn't work on everyone, especially not on people who know their rights. And in this case, it really didn't work on the guy who literally manages the 911 call center they tried to weaponize. Word of Karen's stunt spread through the county pretty quick. The sheriff's office got a laugh out of it. My dispatch team started calling me Director 911. Even the local paper ran a short story about false emergency calls from neighborhood associations. They didn't name her, but everyone knew. A few of her former HOA members later told me that after being removed, she tried to start a petition to restrict rural land use near Willow Creek Estates. It went nowhere. The county commissioners denied it immediately. Meanwhile, my lake became something of a local legend. Folks would drive by just to see the HOA Battle Lake, as people jokingly called it. I didn't mind. I even put up a new sign near the fence. Private property. HOA TRSPSSERS will be charged a viewing fee. It always got a laugh. Now, every time I walk down to that water, I think about that 911 call, the one that came through my own office. There's something poetic about it. The very tool she tried to use against me turned out to be the thing that protected me. Because the truth is, some people don't understand boundaries until you enforce them. And you don't have to yell, threaten, or fight to win. Sometimes all you need is the truth, the law, and a calm smile. Karen moved away not long after. Word is she sold her house at a loss because no one wanted to live next to the lake lawsuit lady. As for me, I still wake up every morning, pour a cup of coffee, and sit by the water. The sun rises over the trees, the mist rolls away, and Duke curls up beside me, peace restored. And whenever I hear a siren in the distance, I can't help but grin, because I know exactly where those calls go first. Straight to my office,